Tony Soprano says it's well known that little Carmine is retarded. His words, not mine. Little Carm is, in fact, a very smart man who manages to succeed despite having a crippling speech impediment that makes almost everyone underestimate himself. But through trials and tribulations, he keeps coming up ahead again and again and again. And we should judge people on the results they achieve, not necessarily on merely the words they use. Let's consider little Carmine's position. He's the heir to Carmine Sr., and we see that Carmine Sr. is getting older and older in seasons 3 and 4, so the possibility of him dying of old age is not something that is not expected. So he might think he could take over. But he also is smart enough to understand that Johnny Sack won't give him the throne because he's been in Miami, which has diminished his claim to that throne. So when Tony Soprano appears before him, what better time and what better way for little Carmine to find a way back into power into New York and get a strong ally at the same time? So let's consider this conversation. First, we see Tony say that the meeting should look like a coincidence.
Peachy's gonna happen to run into him. Not like we're asking.
Now, does Carmine let him do this? No. He says he appreciates Tony reaching out to him, letting him know that he sees through Tony's facade. And Tony doesn't even seem to notice how smoothly Carmine blew away the cover story.
Look, Carmine, you basically know what's going on with your dad and Johnny and us over in Jersey.
First, let me say, I understand. And I appreciate the respect you've shown me by coming down here and reaching out to me at this time.
Always.
Then we see little Carmine instantly try to drive a wedge between Tony and Johnny.
And I will also go on record as saying I know my old man could be a tough nut to crack.
I don't want to crack nuts, but I will.
I feel the anger.
When I try, for the second time, on a separate issue entirely, to reach an accommodation, and he don't even make a counteroffer, where's his respect?
I have no way of knowing what kind of advice he's getting from Johnny.
Johnny's always usually a voice of moderation. Me and him, we get along good. So with due respect, let's not jump in and blame Johnny.
True, John's a pragmatist, but he's also a greedy motherfucker.
Why would he say that? To weaken Johnny's position, improve his own, and even though Tony rebukes him, little Carmine is a wise enough tactician to not press on it at this time, but think of how it's going to go in the future. Then he tells a story that is actually quite wise and insightful for Johnny, Johnny's position, and Tony's relationship to Johnny and Johnny's position, if you can ignore his speech impediment and consider what he's actually saying.
Lives above his head a little.
I am reminded of Louis the whatever's finance minister. Does something. He built a chateau. Nicole and I saw it when we went to Paris. It even outshone Versailles, where the king lived. In the end, Louis clapped him in irons.
Okay. What he was trying to say was the superintendents of finances for King Louis XIV, Nicolas Fouquet, who built the famous Chateau de Vaux-la-Vicomte and was later arrested by King Louis XIV because he was showing up the king. Now, you never want to show up the king. Johnny Sack, as we're going to learn soon on, buys a lot of expensive things before he even has the boss position, and he is gunning for the boss position for little Carmine's father, and is going to try to kill little Carmine's father. So from this position, the analogy that little Carmine is making is quite astute, relevant, and not blindingly obvious. He's not pulling from some History Channel documentary on World War II that he just happened to watch while eating a huge bowl of ice cream. He's pulling a very obscure part of history that not a lot of gangsters in his positions would be aware of, but he is, because he is an intelligent man with a speech impediment. And we'll see that in later episodes, how he will end up getting his life to be in a better position than any other gangster does on The Sopranos.
Look, Tony, all I can promise you is I will look into it.
I understand you gotta try to feel out your old man so he don't give you a mat, for sticking your nose in.
Tony, I haven't been afraid of my father for quite some time.
Fair enough. But Carmine, bear in mind, he came onto my turf. He tried to recruit my Moo and Jan. And worse, he roughed up my appraiser. If the proper response is not forthcoming in a business-like time frame, my next move will not be further conversation.
I get it.
Also, you should know that my next call will be to Johnny Sack to let him know that we talked. He shouldn't feel blindsided.